let's go ahead and discuss how we're going to make this 5.5 inch corner beam unit, starting with the cutting out of our center piece. We're going to be using a 6-inch piece of fabric that is green, and we're going to be using our corner beam ruler to do this. We're going to start by concentrating on one section of this ruler at a time. We have the center beam trim 1 line we're going to be using, and we're also going to be using this line down here that's going horizontal, the 5-inch unit size. We'll also be using the center beam trim 2 line. So we're going to go ahead and get started by using and making our first cut from this dashed line here that is the trim line 1 for the center. So we're going to take our ruler, we're going to place it on top, and we're going to line up the bottom of our ruler on that 5-inch unit size. Placing our corner beam trim line number 1 on that line right here, we're going to make our first cut. We have our first cut. We're going to lift our ruler and we're going to remove this piece. Now we are going to line the ruler back up, and we're going to use this dashed dotted line, the center beam 2 line, and we're going to place that on our nice clean cut edge that we just made. We're going to line the very tip of the ruler on the tip of that point that we just made here, and place our dash line, which is our line 2, and we're going to line it all up and make our second cut. Once we have it lined up, you're going to follow this dashed line, this edge of your ruler here, and you're going to cut. Now, please refer to your pattern or your ruler instructions on how to cut left-handed or right-handed for your corner beam ruler. So your unit will look like this when it's complete. You'll need to repeat this 3 more times to make a total of 4 of these beam units. Next, we will discuss how to make and cut out our side triangles. Now let's move on to our side triangles. Our side triangles are going to be used with white fabric, and the white fabric has been cut into a strip that is 6 inches by the width of the fabric. The edges have been trimmed, and we have also folded it in half with right sides together. This allows us to get 2 side triangles per cut. So let's begin by talking about our corner beam ruler again and our side triangle trim lines. We have 2 different trim lines we can use. We're going to start off with the side triangle trim line number 1, which is this solid line here. And we're going to go ahead and lay our ruler down. And we need 2 side triangles per block we're going to make. So we're going to need a total of 4. For this demonstration, I'm only going to be cutting 1. So I've lined it up on the 5-inch unit here, and I've lined it up on the center beam trim line number solid line here. We have now got a nice clean looking unit here. Let's go ahead and trim it down. So we're going to go, I'm doing this left-handed. Please remember, if you're doing this right-handed, you'll want to turn the ruler so it's this way and your side. So I'll show you that in a second. That's our first trim for our pieces. We have two nice side triangles. If you're right-handed, you would have laid it down this way. So back to the left-handed side. And we're going to now flip the ruler around. We noticed we had it this way before. We're using this line here. Next, we're going to flip it back around, and we're going to use the second trim line here. We're going to line the top of this where it says second trim here on the top of our strip. And we're going to use this line, the solid line here, as our lineup line on that clean edge that we've had here. So we have second trim. We're using this line here to line everything up, and we'll cut a second set of side pieces. And you will continue that going down 2 more times to get your side triangles that you need for all 4 of your corner beam units. So now let's go ahead and show you how to assemble the corner beam unit. So now let's go over how to assemble the corner beam unit. We're going to line up everything like I have it here. We got the center of this unit in the middle, and I've placed the side pieces on the side. Now remember, when you're lining up your side pieces, you want to make sure the short end is at the tip, and you have the diagonal line that you have cut is going down the edge of our beam unit here on both sides. You want to make sure the right sides are up, so when you lay them over, they'll lay on top, so right sides are together of our unit. So let's go ahead and we'll start with our first one. We're going to take and flip our side triangle on first, and we're going to line everything up. I'm going to make sure that our point matches up, and we have probably a little hangover at the bottom of this side. And we're going to stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance and then press open. So your unit will look like this when complete. We've pressed it open. So now we can go back to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew the remaining piece on. What we're going to do is line it all up, assuring that our tip here our short end lines up with our tip here. And we're going to go down and sew our 1/4 inch seam allowance down this side. We're going to make sure that the green is facing up this time so we can actually see where it ends and we have a better view angle. So when we come back, we will have our seam already done, pressed open, and we'll be ready to start trimming. So now we're ready to start trimming our corner beam unit now that we've got it all pressed open and sewn together. So now let's show you the trim down side of our corner beam ruler. The corner beam ruler on the trim down sides consists of the arrows going down that have 5s, 4.5, 4. These will be used for the second trim. The lines for our first trim, we're going to concentrate on our seam line placement and on both sides. That makes this V. We're also going to line up the tip of our corner beam unit with this line here where these meet. So I'm going to rotate my unit to a 10 o'clock degree angle. Now I'm going to place this point here on the very tip of that, where that meets on the unit. And make sure the lines for our placement lines line up with our seam lines. And we have getting that all lined up. Take your time and make sure you get it lined up really nice. And now we're inside our 5.5 inch line down here also. So let's go ahead and make our first trim. Now, for left-handed people, you're going to go up and across. If you're right-handed, your whole unit will be rotated to this side, and you'll be cutting from your right-handed up and across. I'll be cutting left-handed since I am left-handed. And please refer to your instructions for your ruler on the cutting and trimming for left-handed and right-handed. So let's go ahead and trim up and across. And now we're going to rotate that 180 degrees and make sure that our clean edge is down here, and we're going to line up to our 5.5 inch mark. And we're going to use this arrow right here that says 5, and we're going to line that up into our tip of our center of our unit here. So let's go ahead and line that up. And you're going to use these dashed lines out here also as your line up for your placement for your seam lines. Once you have it all lined up, you can do your second trim. Up and across. So now we have completed our 5.5 inch corner beam unit. And now you just need to repeat this 3 more times and you'll have your total of 4. So next we'll discuss the assembly of our center block, block 8.